talking about technology, talking about innovation, and being completely overwhelmed by putting a cufflink on my shirt. So, but it's great because I'm talking to innovation people, like who earn their money with great new ideas, but they still need to have explained how to reset a password on a website. I love that. Thank you very much, and good morning. You're being talked to by somebody who since 3 a.m. in the morning is faced with a system outage in our Frankfurt data system. All of our systems are down. Unfortunately, it's the Cisco routers. For those of you who have heard about Facebook in the last few days, they kind of know the problem. So we couldn't even switch all the traffic to our, of course, existing backup data centers. So I've got around 2,500 passengers standing at airports around Europe and Turkey at the moment screaming at my colleagues. So please, I will be excused after this talk because so far they haven't found the solution yet. And I need to go back into our emergency calls. I'm the one that sits in these calls and doesn't understand a thing about how to reset routers. I'm just the one that always says, well, we have to hurry up. But seemingly that's value adding too. Now I would need some slides. That would be extremely helpful. And while he's putting on the slide, who of you has flown with SunExpress? Yeehaw, love you. Who of you knows SunExpress? That is at least a few hands here, and that actually I like because I would say approximately 4 years ago nobody would have risen their hands. To be very honest, even my parents, when they flew on package tour holidays, and they knew I was working for a charter airline, and I asked them when they arrived in their destination, so which airline did you fly on? They're like, I don't know. I don't care, but I can tell you about the hotel and the hotel room, la la la. So difficult for us. This is a voice-connected event, I learned. So seemingly switching slides also happens voice-connected. So I go like this and you switch the slide, or do I get a clicker, or how does this work? On the table? You see, this is innovation. What do you need to know about SunExpress? You promised me the slides on this screen so I could cheat, but anyway, I'll cheat here. Around 31 years of experience. So we had huge celebrations prepared for for April 2020 for our birthday party. And we cancelled all of them because of Corona. Anyway, SunExpress is a joint venture of Lufthansa and Turkish Airlines. What do we do for a living? We are best known for carrying tourists for package holidays to Turkey, right? Especially into Antalya and Izmir. So if you're going to these beautiful destinations, and I can only tell you, go there. It's not just package tour, club holiday, open the door, go in, meet a lot of Germans that you try to escape from, and go back after 2 weeks. Beautiful hotels, small beaches, and at the moment I can only say value for money, better than anywhere in the world. So I was in Antalya just the day before yesterday, went to the best restaurant in town, and I spent for 4 people, I think €40 including drinks. That's the nice thing about inflation. What else do you need to know? All right, that's the touristic business. The second branch of business, you might have heard that we have a Turkish community in Germany as well. It depends on how you count, like 3 million passport holders, plus friends and families and people who don't have passports, Turkish passports anymore. They fly home from time to time. Right? A lot of them came in the 50s, in the 70s, that's the older generation now. Now we're going into the 4th generation. They still fly to Turkey once, twice per year. That's the second core business. So we fly to 19 airports in Turkey. Anybody cares to tell me which? No, not even I know a lot of the cities that we're flying to. And third, I was supposed to stand on this cross, right? Somebody told me, here. And the third thing that we're doing is we're flying domestically within Turkey. That's what we do for a living. Now, but why am I here? 2019 was an absolute fantastic year for SunExpress. It was a record year. We'd never carried more passengers, and we'd never made more profit. It was absolutely fantastic. And then it was the upcoming 30th birthday of our company, and we were really, really excited about all the opportunities that we would have. We were really on a high. We hired a new chief marketing officer, and she was on fire because of all the budget that we were promising. And then Corona happened. Now, what you see on these graphs here, that's the first one. This is the revenue. Whoa, up, up, up. The only way was up. And then Corona came. Boom. We were not allowed to fly anymore. Now, that is a problem if the majority of the revenue that you're doing is actually selling tickets or selling ancillaries like extra leg room, premium meals, food on board, etc., that is connected to that flight that you're going to be taking. And if you then are mostly a B2B carrier, which you are as a leisure carrier, you can't do this thing that other airlines supposedly have done, take the money from the customers and don't pay it back. Who of you still has money with an airline lying around? I see a few hands. See, take a lawyer, otherwise you're never going to get it back. We have no money outstanding anymore. Zero. We paid everything back right in the beginning because we needed to work on our brand image. Because the problem that we were having was 2015 brand image, 23%. The brand awareness, 23%. Sympathy, 5%. It was like not really good. When did we manage to change that? Right in the middle of Corona crisis? How did we do this? Increasing awareness, increasing brand sympathy, and willingness to book. After all, we want to make some money. It's great to be a loved brand, but if you don't earn money, you end up like Air Berlin. Everybody loved Air Berlin, just nobody wanted to give them their money. That's not what you want. You want willingness to book. How do we do it? And this is what I'll be talking a little bit about today with you, and especially because this was our marketing investments, and they went down, down, down. If you look at this number, Emirates is around here. Lufthansa is a little bit higher than that at the moment. So it's ridiculous, the money that we're spending on marketing. So the question is, how did we actually do this? Who is the best business philosopher in the world? The person that has most inspired, at least me, for anything around business. The best ideas. Steve Jobs are here. Other ideas? Yeah, Mr. Musk. I think it's Winnie the Pooh. Isn't it a funny thought that if bears were bees, they would build their nests at the bottom of the trees? For this being so, if the bees were bears, they wouldn't have to climb up all those stairs. So the bears would actually build the honey nest at the bottom of the trees so that it's easier to access. Think from the customer. Read the book, Winnie the Pooh. Your wife will, or husband or friend or whatever, will look at you a bit puzzled in the beginning. It's absolutely mind-boggling from a business perspective. Do it, I promise you. That's the approach that we were taking. In the middle of Corona crisis, we changed our complete brand image. We went out there, we changed our marketing agency, and we said, now is the moment to be different. Nobody is investing money into marketing at the moment. No airline, no tourism industry. It's completely stupid. Nobody's traveling. But hey, we've got nothing to lose. We're at what, 23% brand awareness? No sympathy. There's nothing to lose. Let's do it now. And you know what? If you went RFP for marketing agencies in 2021, you had the full attention of the entire market. Nobody else did it. Honestly, we got a great deal with Pete & Kointje, which is one of the largest and best marketing agencies. I can say that. I really love the way that they do it. Now, if you look at our competitors, what do? They've got nice people on the beach running around, you know, their destination marketing. This is where we want to go. We said it differently. Mal wieder Oma knuddeln. That was our visiting friends and relatives campaign. Go home, visit your parents. That's what we all wanted to do. Create a longing. It resonated perfectly for a very cheap price. And all of that digital first. All of that digital first, even though we did a lot of out-of-home marketing. A lot of people have seen what we're doing, again, because it was as cheap as never before. We thought it digital first, and we implemented it digital first, and always in the 3 languages: German, English, Turkish. And on Turkish, for those of you, anybody here speaks Turkish? In Turkish, actually in 2 versions. because the Turkish that Turkish people speak that have been living in Germany for the last few generations does differ from the Turkish that people speak in Turkey, which from a marketing perspective is absolutely important. Because those people that you see walking around the city centers in Frankfurt and you see that they are Turks, they feel like Turks when they're in Germany, kind of, I don't belong here. And when they fly with us to Turkey, they walk around Turkey and they feel like Germans. They're called Gabanje or Almanje. They don't feel at home there neither. Or you could say differently, they feel at home in both places. But they've got their own language, their own words. So if you want to impress your Turkish colleagues, your Turkish friends, say to them when they walk out, hadi tschüss. They spell tschüss, the C with a little thing on below, Ü and then the S. That's the way that they spell tschüss. Nobody in Turkish understands that because it's the German word tschüss. And then hadi is just also in German, so bye-bye. Hadi tschüss. That's something that we made an even campaign on, just for the German Turkish. And they understood, hey, we're longing to see the grandmother again, and here's a company that understands us. At that point in time, we didn't sell a ticket through that, but we knew that when they were thinking about flying for the first time after Corona crisis, that was the image they had in their head. And that's what happened in 2021. That's exactly how it paid out. Digital, online, offline. And a lot of media, but I'll come into that. So what we did is we introduced dynamic performance assets and real-time AI-based analytics. So basically what's happening with us? We've got our very sophisticated revenue management tools, right? That's already artificially intelligence, how we steer that we actually get the maximum price for the flight that we're actually doing. We've combined that directly with our marketing, with our performance marketing machines. So we see that there's a flight that still needs a little push to be filled. Through our personas in Salesforce, we know which of our customer groups typically buy these flights. Through the intelligence that we've got built in there, we understand which magazines they read, which websites they're on. We've got the lookalikes built, and then we take exactly for that flight, exactly for the right price, and put it completely automated as dynamic banner on the websites. Works incredibly, has increased our return on invest significantly on anything that's performance marketing, and it's zero touch meanwhile. Zero touch, fully automated. Done that in 2020. Why? Because programmers were sitting around idle, didn't have anything to do. Very, very cheap. Our marketing spend actually went down. At the same time, we went full blast into social media. Why? Because everybody was complaining about airlines all over social media. Our social media sentiment actually went up during the crisis. Why? Because we answered the posts that were there right away. If somebody was complaining, they got a solution right away. Not as much as we wanted it, because suddenly we were overwhelmed when there's a travel ban and nobody knows what's happening with their flight. Yes, also we were overwhelmed, and reality wasn't as perfect as I made it sound just now, but it worked still very well. So we had 4,800 total posts, 59,000 posts on Facebook. And the social media sentiment, 77% positive, 73.5% positive. We actually put this into our board documentation, where we have our board members from Turkish Airlines and Lufthansa in there, including Eurowings. They would have killed for those numbers. I still think that our Eurowings ambassador, he had tears in his eyes when he saw those numbers. And not numbers that we do ourselves. We've got an agency that does that, so that we also see the bad news around that. What did we do? What did we communicate? Number one, of course, we communicated everything around the crisis, up to the point where we got a remark from the German embassy in Turkey that if there was an update to the traveling rules, they would check our website and our social media posts, because they were more accurate than what they were getting from the German government themselves. So that was for us absolute first and foremost priority. And then we just tried to give them the longing again, the longing for the destination. You want to travel. I was always out there saying, I've met nobody who said, when this corona thing is all over, I want to stay at home for a few days. Everybody was eager to fly. And we wanted to connect that eagerness with the thought of, hey, Turkey is the place to go. We sent out 84 newsletters between March 13th and November 20th in 3 languages. And the opening rate, if you look at this, the average opening rate skyrocketed. Skyrocketed because it was meaningful information. And the fun part is that at one point in time, there was not much to communicate anymore. Yes, we've got safety measures. You have to wear those masks when you fly. Yes, you have to have a negative PCR test to go into Turkey. Once all of that was communicated, and slowly but surely we changed our tone of voice. And we started talking about stories, about people who want to fly home, build a sense of belonging into a community. And that worked out, and that kept the opening rates up high. And look at the average click rate. That is something that, at least for us, was an all-time high. And then we started to work a little bit crazy, because we had people sitting around not doing things. And we put forward, for example, our German our Snapchat lenses. Snapchat lenses, something that no touristic brand had done before in the German market. We tried it. Average lens playtime 25.35 seconds. In Turkey, even 50 seconds. The benchmark you see there, it's 40 to 16 seconds. So Snapchat was so impressed by our performance that when they had the European Football Championships, they asked us to produce a lens. It was not us going to Snapchat saying, hey, can we please have a Snapchat filter? But they came to us because they said, we need this. We need these kind of playtimes. And again, why did we do it then? Not because we were spending lots of money, but because the people in the agency, they were happy to be able to do something. So timing was just right. And as one of our former board members says, never waste a good crisis. It's the crisis times when you have to move. It's the crisis times when you have to play around, do things, and understand. The good thing is, if it works, your click rates go up like this. Your average playtime rates go up like this. If it doesn't work, well, it was in crisis times anyway. Nobody's seen it. The first German travel company that used tic-tac ad formats. And how do I get those things to work? I keep clicking. No, that doesn't work. Anyway, these would be very cool TikTok videos that we did. As the first German touristic player, we haven't even found anybody in Europe that had been doing anything on TikTok before. But we were not 100% sure. For Germany, we know because TikTok told us. 2.5 months, 23.5 million impressions. And the point was that we were having before, especially in the VFR community, in the Turkish community, yes, the first generation people, they want to fly home. Well, a lot of them now are so old that they can't really fly home anymore. Second generation, they fly to visit their brothers and sisters who are still in Turkey. Third generation, a little less affiliated. Fourth generation, and that's the TikTok people, we needed to still build a brand. TikTok was eager for business. They were eager to play around with us, and they loved it because it actually worked. 23.5 million impressions is a pretty good thing for a German-Turkish leisure carrier with 10 million passengers most. Yeah, there's also cool music going on there, but don't worry, no problem. Maybe you want to play just this one very nice, very quickly, because that's the coolest one. And I'm still waiting to do that in an airport. And the funny thing is, look at her reaction. She smiles and walks away with him. I don't think it's going to work, and you probably get sued and carried away by airport security. But it worked for the TikTok video. A lot of the people that we're carrying are not too online-y. I don't know if you've read the Boston Consulting study issued last week. Over 60% of the Germans have no digital touch points in their work life or in their administrative matters, 60%. And that is driven because we're a very old country. average age of population above 50. And well, looking at my parents, well, yeah, they used the iPad to be video chatting with us, but they would never think of going electronic to buy travel. That's what travel agencies are for. And they don't think about IT too much when they talk about going to the mayor's office or to get their papers done or whatever. So what we are doing is we are everything that we're doing, every campaign that we're doing it online and offline, in the media, fully persona-based, knowing exactly which of our personas is where, online and offline. So what we did with Bunte, for example, we had this wonderful videos on the balloon. If you haven't been to Turkey, yeah, Antalya is nice with the beaches. Fly to Kayseri, go to Cappadocia and take one of those balloon tours. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And at the moment, you can't get it cheaper anywhere in the planet. It's really fantastic. We had the story on Bunte on how to do this, and had 13.37 million impressions with an average video playing time of 206, which was quadruple the average that they have on Bunte. Bild am Sonntag, maybe you've seen that also. People that go on, so we were on there in the paper, at the same time we were on their website, 10.32 million ad impressions, the most successful marketing campaign of Bild-Zeitung or Bild am Sonntag in 2020. Also here, average video viewing time, 3 minutes. That's what they usually don't even publish videos with 3 minutes. They are at 150 at the moment on average, because they say people don't watch it longer. With us, they did. You know this gentleman? Burak Yeter, who knows Burak Yeter? I didn't know Burak Yeter. When some of my colleagues came and said, hey, Burak Yeter is living in Antalya. He sees that Antalya is really suffering from a touristic perspective in the crisis. He wants to do something. He will give you a very cheap price for a cooperation. Could you just start the music for a second? Now you know Burak Yeter? Who of you has watched Casa de Papel? Haus des Geldes in German? Give it a second. I know a lot of you will know it. Huh? Haus des Geldes soundtrack? Yeah, I didn't know it. I didn't know that this guy was going to be amongst the top 20 DJs worldwide half a year later. For the money that we pay him for a year, he's now doing a gig a night. What we contracted him on was he is doing on Spotify 1 playlist per month, a SunExpress playlist. A few of his own songs and a few songs of his colleagues that he likes. 2.5 million followers? Incredible, incredible. What I'm telling you is, in crisis, play around, try things that otherwise you would never ever do. Because it's cheap, and if you're wrong, well, you were wrong. Trial, error, try again. Next one. Achso, nee, ich muss klicken, ne? Richtig, da war was. Oh, that's my favorite one. So we were thinking, now we're going into winter time, we can fly again, right? We always thought that the governments are going to make sure that the winter holiday, the summer holiday, you know, they kind of keep people locked in. But after that, it's going to be relieved. And it wasn't. And then our marketing agency came to us and said, you know what, we've done so much crazy stuff. Why don't we do our wearcation? So if you can't have vacation, do wearcation. It's basically a very ugly sweater. And I've seen them in live. They are even uglier than on the pictures. And the agency said the ideas, territory, web career, and PUC. They put it in. We transported it through Bunte and Joy. We had 2.5 million reach through Instagram and Facebook, 25,000 people that wanted these sweaters, and 100% social sentiment with these ugly sweaters. It was absolutely incredible. And we only raffled, I think it was 20 of them. Fantastic idea, big resonance in the relevant communities with the relevant personas. Important thing, it's great to go out and say we're risking something, we're playing with something. Right? We just try out things. But always, always, always be KPI driven. Because on marketing, everybody will attack you in crisis time on every euro that you spend. Because they will all say, it's not worth it, let's stop it, there's no market anyway, why build the brand now, we have to save cost. Which is why everything that we're doing is KPI driven. We have key performance indicators that we have objectively tracked by third parties so that when my boss comes and asks, I can show him valid data from a third party. And that's what gave me then the freedom to actually be able to spend this money, because they could measure and they could understand what we were doing. And if you look at them, if you look at the KPIs and what we've done in 2020, that was really, really impressive. Return on invest on performance marketing of 12. The market average for an airline is 5. At the moment, actually, we are at 30-ish. And that with nearly 38% budget less than in 2019. Now, these are numbers of 2020 mostly. What happened in 2021? January was horrible. February was depressing. March, we really thought literally about collective suicide. In April, there was a change in mind because people said, now spring is coming, and in spring things will be different. If you try to recall April this year, this was the first time when you started to have hope to actually fly out on summer holidays. What had we done? Two things. In the B2B relationship, and I didn't talk about the B2B marketing here. In the B2B relationship, we created a lot of credibility because we did not work against our biggest partners, but we worked with them. We kept a very close leash, very close communication, and they received every penny that they had outstanding within days from us, which really differentiated us from the entire other market. By the way, we did all of this without a penny of state aid and no support by our mothers. It was very helpful that we just had a record year in 2019, I have to admit. Every penny was paid back. So when in April, Germany or Europe started thinking about maybe I can go on holiday, the tour operators realized that. And they said, where am I going to buy my allotments? Where am I going to buy my seat? Which airline am I going to work with? Airline A still owes me 10 million. Airline B still owes me 12 million. Airline C has called me 3 times this week to tell me exactly what their capacity plans for the next few months are going to be. They've given me every single penny within a few days that they owed me. This is the airline that I'm going to be putting my horses in, because they also have risk committees that they need to talk to. And going in April to a risk committee to tell them that you want to buy airline tickets was a difficult way to go. And then when we realized, or when the market realized that it would also be possible to again fly to Turkey for the visiting friend and relative business, that was a little bit later. Who did they go to? They went to us. Because we built the credibility, we built this connection of longing, and they flew with us. We objectively saw it because our seat load factors were significantly higher than the ones of our competitors, and people are willing to spend more to fly SunExpress than any of our competitors. And that's including world-class brands. So, what am I telling you? Again, coming back to Winnie the Pooh, isn't it a funny thought that if bears were bees, they would build their honey nest at the bottom of the trees? For this being so, if the bees were bears, they wouldn't have to climb up all these stairs. When does Winnie the Pooh say that? When he's in crisis times because he's trying to climb up a tree to get into the honey and he's hanging in there and can't do it anymore. Think from the customer, be brave, and try things in crisis times that otherwise you wouldn't have dared to do, and measure, 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 and always think digital first. That was my speech.
Thank you very much, Peter. Yes, it's on. So, since you said, I think you have to leave soon. I think for I'm not sure. Can you still do the roundtables later? Probably not, right? So then
I'll be looking at my mobile phone, which is lying there staring at me. And if I have the relieving message, we're back to normal. But I'm looking at my colleague's face, and she would be smiling if we were. Then probably no.
okay, because then I think we maybe take a little bit time now to have some questions, some remarks, if you like, because you will later on not have the possibility then anymore to discuss. Maybe let's do it today like this, because we said, like, let's also be cautious with with the use of the microphones. You can just maybe speak up, but I will repeat the question into the microphone so that it's on the live stream.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. I love this nothing to lose mentality in a positive way. We should all think that way, I assume. And when you hit rock bottom, which you did, I think the only way is up. So fantastic.
You wanted to repeat that. I want to hear it again.
So for all the listeners virtually, he just said, like, he loved that mentality of, when you're at the bottom, there's only one way up, and to make basically use of that, when you have when you have fallen. I will reformulate it a little bit. You fall down, you get back up, and you continue. And I think it was a great presentation that showed how you can do that.
Before I started working in the airline business, I was working as a paramedic, as a Rettungssanitäter in German. Paramedic sounds a lot fancier. And what I tell people when we were coming to accident sites and there was people saying, well, did you do first aid? Well, I didn't want to do any wrong. It's like, that person was dead anyway. You can try to, that's why we call it Wiederbelebung. You can't do anything wrong. He's dead anyway. And that's the same thing. That's the same thing. You cannot do wrong when you're dead anyway.
So maybe you tried with the router, just unplug them, out then plug them again.
That was the moment, I think today at 4:30 a.m., when everybody was really worn out, when I said, have you tried rebooting the laptop? When they kicked me out of the conference call.
I think we had one other question back there.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for this great presentation, very insightful. You said KPIs matter and are very important for you. You also mentioned that social media is important, and you're looking at social media experience and performance. Do you also measure sentiments in a quantitative way, or do you have a way to see which KPIs can be seen in the quantitative in the comments, or do you only check how many positive tests there were?
Yeah, not easy to repeat because it was a long question, but basically said, like, given the focus on KPIs that we heard in the presentation, looking at sentiment analysis, do you only do, like, qualitative analysis of sentiments, or do you also have some quantitative measures of measuring sentiments?
We're doing two things, and we have an agency that is doing that, and they would probably be the more appropriate people to answer that. As far as I've understood it, what we're doing is two things. Number one, yes, it's quantitative. It's going at how many likes do you have, happy smileys, etc. Click-through rate, the usual stuff. But then what we also do is that we have an AI to go through every mentioning of SunExpress or SunExpress related terms, and then an analysis in German, Turkish, and English to see whether the words that are used afterwards have a positive connotation or a negative connotation. And that's how we come up with the social media sentiment. We're doing that. Talking about this, not everything that we did was successful. Obviously, I'm standing here and talking about all the great successes. One thing that we tried was, for example, a voice bot. Right? This was when I first had my interaction with this conference, because I was initially supposed to speak about voice interaction in airline business. We were the first airline that could be the way you could buy tickets on Amazon Alexa. It was fantastic. We had it live for 3 years. We sold 2 tickets. Do you want to fly at 11:50? Do you want to fly at 12:10? Do you want to fly at 12:30? Do you want to fly, like, when you're flying 8 times a day, and then you have picked the right flight, then it's window or aisle seat, then do you want food, do you want extra, it's just too many questions. It's like, we were overwhelmed. After 3 years, we turned it off. It was a great marketing gig, didn't work. We had one of those little roboters walking around. That's why I come to that, because it has to do with sentiment. We had one of those little roboters going around, and roboters. And We used him for disruption management. So flight is delayed. There's a little robot coming. Please scan your boarding pass. Your flight is delayed. Here's your voucher. We thought it was a great idea. That poor sod survived exactly 20 minutes, and then he was smashed against the check-in counter. So that's, you know, measuring sentiment is very important.
It's actually also a very, very interesting point, because we had discussions about that yesterday too. You know, in different discussion rounds, not always is a pure voice the right approach, you know, to approaching conversational AI. I think for the case that you described, probably like, you know, multimodal interaction, where you can, you know, you can speak something in, you want to have a quick information, is the right way to start with voice, but then you have to allow, for example, a feedback on a visual interface. So in general, like, you know, putting in a lot of information, which is always necessary when you book flights, is actually quite cool with voice, but you have to allow the visuals at the right point. And I think that might be something that impacted the success of the application.
Absolutely. Fully agree, which is why I'm so much pressuring, and now my colleague Nicole is going to go, oh, again, I'm pressuring for a voice call center, for a video call center with us, so that the people don't hang on the phone all the time, but you know, you've got actually video interaction, which is going to lower also the hurdle for people that have their mobile phones, and they, you know, they have their family, they've got their grandchildren in Turkey, they know how to use FaceTime, they know how to do video calls on WhatsApp, but they hate being on a call center line for 25 minutes. Take €3, connect them to a person that they can look at, build a relationship with. That's the next thing that we're going to be trying and probably failing. So we've still got a little battle going on there. She doesn't think it's going to be worth it. I think it is. Let's see. I'll talk to you next year about it.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Then I think we will move on. Thank you very much, Peter.